Hi, I'm Jessica Alba, founder and Chief Creative Officer of The Honest Company and Honest Beauty. Rick let me know that this year's theme for Greenbuild is "There's work to be done, so we do it." Even though I can't be with you at Greenbuild today, I can say that I'm with you in spirit. I founded The Honest Company to ensure that families like mine and yours have the chance to live in healthy environments without exposure to potentially harmful and untested chemicals. I became an advocate for legislative reform on toxic chemicals. I got to work. Today, Honest is the trusted brand for effective, safe, beautifully designed products priced within reach and created on a foundation of education and transparency. This year, I went to Washington, D.C. with a group of successful, like-minded businesses and entrepreneurs to prove to the powers that be that conscious consumption is no longer the exception in the marketplace. It's the future. In Rick's new book, Green Think, he says that sustainability is profitable and profitability can be sustainable. Everyone in the room today knows this, but there's still more work to be done. A healthy, happy world begins in all of the spaces we live. Hopefully, I'll get to see all of you next year in Los Angeles. Until then, stay honest.
Please welcome to the stage the CEO and founding chair of the U.S. Green Building Council, Rick Fedrizzi.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Greenbuild. And welcome to Washington, D.C. This is USGBC's hometown, our nation's capital, and in many ways, the world capital of green building. There are more LEED buildings in the District of Columbia per capita than any other city across the globe. And that's why I'm thrilled to bring our green building movement together in this special place. Now, you've traveled here today from LA and Latvia, Budapest, Boston, Akron, Australia. I love alliteration. 86 countries and counting are represented here today. 86 countries. Welcome, all of you. Now, make sure you get outside and look around this week. There is so much to see here in Washington. We have the National Mall. We have the National Cathedral. And you can even visit the immensely entertaining National Circus up on Capitol Hill. Thank you, John. One of the things that you'll notice as you take in the sights is that Washington is a city of monuments. And of course, we're here this week to celebrate monumental green and the foundational ideals that underpin our work: sustainability, equality, and prosperity for all. But for these ideals to achieve the permanence of the monuments, we have to embrace change. And periodically, we have to re-engineer our governance and our policies to manage our significant growth and global context. And we're always rethinking the roles of our team and where they can contribute at their highest, best value. To effectively lead our shared mission to sustainable future, we have to innovate and evolve the environment in which our big green idea sits. And that's exactly what we've done this year. First, we've evolved our organizational structure. And right now, I'd like to ask our 2015 Board of Directors to please join me on stage. Now, as you know, we've just completed the process of changing our governance structure by seating our first ever advisory council, which will be made up of this member of the 2015 Board of Directors and 6 others who were elected to fill vacant seats in 2016. At the same time, we elected a brand new board of directors whose experience and vision can help us achieve the next level of strategic goals for the far-reaching organization that we've become. This is an enormous change for us, and it requires tremendous courage on the part of this group of individuals. I want to recognize and thank them for their thoughtful and courageous service, and especially I'd like to thank our 2015 board chair, Marge Anderson. Marge, Marge was ably supported by the immediate past chair, George Bandy, and board chair and advisory council chair-elect for 2016, Fiona Cousins. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Now, the other group of people that have delivered and managed immense change for this organization is the board of GBCI, which is the Green Business Certification, Inc. And I'd also like to invite them to the stage as well. Come on up, folks. There they are over there. As we strive to augment our reach into the new market sectors globally, GBCI has taken on the task of helping us go beyond lead and broaden our base to include not only buildings, but additional complementary systems that allow for the first time us to weave together the fabric of a true sustainable solution for communities all around the world. As you know, since we've been together last year, we've ramped up our partnership with the WELL Building Standard to quickly and effectively get that rating system into the market, because it focuses specifically on human health and the built environment. At the same time, we've added EDGE, a rating system developed by IFC and the World Bank, which provides a building performance improvement tool for emerging markets. And we've stepped beyond the building footprint to now look at sites for sustainable landscape, and PEER, which is designed to measure and improve sustainable power system performance. We've also added GRESB, the Global Real Estate Sustainability Benchmark, to our portfolio. You can clap for GRESB. GRESB offers the financial community a tool for enhancing and protecting shareholder value by evaluating and improving the sustainability performance of the real estate asset. This is a complex undertaking, and this board of GBCI has been up for the challenge. I want to thank them all and especially acknowledge the leadership of our amazing chair, Gail Vittori. Gail? Another change that we've been undergoing this year is the evolution of our chapter network, something near and dear to all of your hearts. Chapter Steering Committee Chair Jason Dunlop and Kimberly Lewis, please join us. Jason, Kimberly. By January, 40 of our chapters will be fully integrated into USGBC, freeing them from the administrative burdens of running a chapter so that they can focus on delivering quality programs in communities across the country. And many thanks are owed to Jason for his truly amazing hands-on leadership. And I have to recognize Kimberly Lewis, our Senior Vice President of Community, for her outstanding leadership through this 3-year process. Thank you both so much for what you've done. Now, as everyone knows, I too am part of this change, and I announced back in July that my decision to step down as CEO of USGBC and GBCI at the end of 2016. I made the decision, gave it a longer than average lead time for the transition because I wanted to make sure that this amazing organization had a new leader that could be firmly in place at that time. Now, trust me when I say that I am very excited that I'll spend much of next year working closely with the amazing person that our board has chosen as my successor. Mahesh, would you please join us on stage? Stay right here. Mahesh Ramanujan will be taking over as CEO of USGBC and GBCI in January of 2017, and not a day before. He is one of the smartest, kindest, most inspirational leaders we could hope for. Because he's served as our COO for the past 3 years, there's not a corner of USGBC he doesn't know. Because he's been president of GBCI, he's been deeply involved in every aspect of the growth that I just noted. forging new relationships for USGBC and GBCI, and walking the halls at 2101 L Street every single day, making himself available to staff and volunteers alike. Thank you, Mahesh, and thank all of you for the amazing work that you've done this year. Thank you so much. Okay, and now you can walk. As they're exiting the stage, I will take a sip of water. Wow. Now that's a lot of change for any organization. And change is the context of the backdrop against which we open up this lucky 13 annual tent revival this morning. And I have the honor of convening one of the largest congregations of people on the planet, people that embrace with passion a fundamental idea that anything is possible, that everyone can succeed, and that all of us are in this together. Around the world, we're clearly in a time when the trademark optimism of our movement can be easily lost. I understand that our deeply embedded sense of fairness is challenged with every negative newscast that highlights not only the American partisan divide, but also a growing global cultural divide. The situation we just watched unfold in Paris the last couple of days is horrific and a painful reminder of that division. And our hearts go out to the friends and families of the victims, and our prayers go to those who have to lead during this time of crisis. But if all we did was listen to the extremists and the negativity, we'd all go home. We'd just give up and go home. But we don't. Now, as David Brooks reminded us at the closing plenary of Greenbuild in New Orleans last year, in the immortal words of Francis Perkins, founder of Mount Holyoke College, there is work to be done, and so we do it. We know what that work is, and every day in communities around the world, millions of us are doing it. And we're making a huge difference in the health of our planet and the lives of our families and friends. There's never been more fitting and more important time to bring Greenbuild to our nation's capital. From TV to Twitter, the issues we're most passionate about are everywhere. Climate change, extreme weather, the impact of pollution and toxins on human health. Not long ago, it was hard to get folks to pay attention to these things, but now no one can ignore them. And you know what? That's because of all of you, the incredible activists and champions of the green building movement. You are changing the world. You have changed the world. And I'm so grateful for everything that you do for our shared mission every single day. But let me tell you something. We need your hard work, your passion, your commitment now more than ever. 1 year from now, the eyes of the world will be focused right back here on Washington, D.C. In exactly 50 weeks and 6 days, Americans will elect a new president and a new Congress. And I don't have to tell you that how the United States responds to the climate crisis in the years ahead will have an enormous impact on our planet and our children. And that's why for the next 12 months, we must raise our collective voice louder than we ever have before. We need to convince the toughest skeptics that sustainability is the one and only path forward for this country and for all humanity. Now, I'll admit, that's a pretty tall order, especially during this presidential campaign. And just look at the leading candidates in the Republican Party. Yes, I went there. Ted Cruz says climate change is a pseudoscientific theory, and that if you look to the satellite data in the last 18 years, there has been zero recorded warming. Donald Trump, so hysterical, says it's a hoax. Marco Rubio, I love this, and I quote, We're not going to make America a harder place to create jobs in order to pursue policies that will do nothing to change our climate. And then Rubio continues, America is a lot of things, but America is not a planet. He's right, America is not a planet. And Dr. Ben Carson passionately, albeit very softly, says that we're actually headed for an ice age. Wow. Across the board, the GOP presidential frontrunners either deny that climate change exists or insist that even if it does, we shouldn't do anything about it, because focusing on sustainability will basically hurt the economy, kill jobs, blah, blah, blah. This is hardly a new dynamic for that party, but I believe it's a tragically short-sighted one, not just for the planet, not just for the children. It's actually short-sighted for the Republicans. The GOP is clinging to the outdated notion that addressing climate change inherently kills jobs and the economy. But that ignores the decades of business trends, including what all of us have done personally and witnessed this green building revolution. According to Booz Allen Hamilton's study released just last month, by 2018, green construction will account for more than 3.3 million U.S. jobs. That's more than a third of the entire U.S. construction sector. And those jobs will generate $190 billion U.S. dollars in labor earnings. By 2020, the global new construction market is expected to be worth $10.3 trillion, and close to 40% of that new construction will be green, almost $3.8 trillion. So the truth is, there is a powerful, conservative, pro-business case for conservation and action on climate change. And no one understands this business case better than the people in this room. The green building industry has shown the world that sustainability is profitable and profitability is sustainable. And today I'm proud to say that there's a chorus of private sector voices that share that view. Sustainability offers the possibility of trillions of dollars and profit and economic development. And that's not just my opinion. Just look at how some of the world's biggest corporations are embracing sustainability. In 2014 alone, Siemens generated 33 billion euros through its environmental portfolio and eliminated 428 million tons of CO2 emissions for its customers in the process. GE's Eco-Imagination program has added $200 billion to the company's top line since 2005, with sales of green products growing 4 times faster than its other industrial product lines. When United Technologies Corporation, a company I know well, committed to sustainability and made an enormous change in its manufacturing operations. Between 2006 and 2014, the company reduced greenhouse gas emissions by 30%, it reduced water consumption by 33%, and it reduced industrial waste process by 35%. But it gets better. During that same time period, UTC's stock almost doubled. Companies we know and love, Dell, Starbucks, Ford, Procter & Gamble, among others, are finding ways to use sustainability to their business advantage. And maybe that's why, according to the new Morgan Stanley report, mutual funds focused on sustainable investments outperform other funds nearly 2/3 of the time. Now, let's be clear about what's going on here. These businesses aren't using less energy and fewer resources in the name of self-denial or just out of the goodness of their hearts. They're consuming less in order to make more. These are the profit-driven examples of sustainability that the Republican candidate should be holding up as our path forward. But they and so many others are trapped in the old worldview that environmentalism and capitalism are always opposed. And the Republicans aren't alone on this one, folks. There are a lot of Democrats and environmentalists, some probably in this room right now, who are probably thinking, Fedrizzi, why are you talking about money and not talking about our green values? Don't you know growing industry in the economy is bad for the environment? But I disagree. Business, industrial activity, and economic growth are not the problem. It's the environmental degradation and climate change that is the problem. We can't continue to subscribe to the idea that we need to paralyze the former to defeat the latter. The old environmentalism has brought us this far, and I am grateful, but there's so much farther to go, and we are almost out of time. We need to catapult ourselves to the next level. We need to embrace and harness the incredible power of the profit motive instead of struggling in vain to suppress it. And thanks to the green building movement, thanks again to all of you, a new narrative is emerging. While the old narrative says that environmentalism is the enemy of growth, the new narrative says that the environment and the economy are deeply and fundamentally connected. They share common enemies: waste, inefficiency, pollution, climate change, and resource scarcity. But they also share a common ally, and that's sustainability. And instead of the old groupthink that keeps capitalists on one side of the room and environmentalists on the other side of the room, they share a common outlook, something I call greenthink, an idea I'm so passionate about that I just wrote a book about it. Exciting. Greenthink occurs when business and nonprofit and government and individuals meld environmental and economic principles for the benefit of both. Throughout the global economy, enlightened companies are already engaged in greenthink by leveraging the power of sustainability to drive profits. And I'm proud to say that most of those companies are members of the U.S. Green Building Council, and they're proving just how profitable sustainability can be. Now, there's work to be done, folks, and we know we can't stop until we've done everything to save this planet. And when I say planet, I don't mean save the 4.5 billion-year-old space rock we call home. This rock will still be here even when the people aren't. What I mean by save the planet is we have to save humanity, because that's who climate change directly affects. It affects our safety and our security, our health and our prosperity. If we do nothing, the World Bank predicts climate change will sentence 100 million more people to extreme poverty by 2030. Already, years of drought and global warming have helped set the stage for one of the worst humanitarian crises today, the plight of the Syrian refugees. And the numbers are staggering. Over 4 million people have already fled Syria, half of them under the age of 18. These are just kids. 2 million people have relocated to Turkey, 1 million to Lebanon, and throughout Europe, thousands upon thousands more are seeking asylum, which is another word for a home. Sometimes it's hard to see the connection between our work and the larger world, especially when we see the heart-wrenching pictures of women and children fleeing their homes and risking their lives to make it across dangerous waters to Europe. The tragedy and the humanity we've seen during this crisis has us thinking, what can this movement do to help? Now, you could certainly argue that the refugee crisis is the furthest thing from our mission of building a sustainable world. But if you ask me, there's absolutely nothing off limits for this movement. We can and we will always contribute. We can and we will always make a difference. From Haiti to the lower Ninth Ward, from Greensburg to Kobe, New Jersey, and New York City, we contribute our resources, our knowledge, and our experience to make a difference. And I've never been more proud of this community than when we're standing up for what we believe in. And I've never been more proud of this movement than when we're fighting against the long odds to make a difference in people's lives. Dr. King said that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. And I was reminded of this when Pope Francis came to this very city in September. and the Pope's extraordinary Laudato Si, the encyclical letter on how we must care for our common home, Pope Francis writes this: "We have to realize that a true ecological approach always becomes a social approach. It must integrate questions of justice in debates on the environment so as to hear both the cry of the earth and the cry of the poor. For me and for all of us, those cries are a call to action today, tomorrow, and every day forward." Now, we are an amazing and unparalleled movement, my friends. Regardless of what you believe, it's a time to answer that higher calling. Whether you're a passionate student of sustainability, a business titan, a Democrat, a Republican, or an independent, there is work to be done, and we will do it. Thank you very much, and enjoy Greenbuild. Thank you. Thank you.